here in Nasarawa State to speak with the executive governor at Governor Abdullahi Sule. Sir, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you very much from your busy schedule. We saw you just traveled in from your busy schedule in taking this time out to speak with us. We are really grateful about it.
Thank you very much. No problem at all.
All right, so we are going to look at the COVID-19 pandemic in a slightly different way with you because of the fact that your state is a state that is one of the states that we'll say gives food security to the nation. So in view of the COVID-19 pandemic and its economic impact on different sectors, especially agriculture, which accounts for 75% of your state economy, what plans does the state government or what plans are you putting in place to support farmers and stakeholders in the agricultural sector to ensure sustainable production?
Well, here in Nasarawa State, we actually approach food security pre-COVID-19, now during COVID-19, and actually post-COVID-19. As you are aware, we are a state that is 70%, agro-based for our own economy. Yeah. And one of the areas that we have looked at is to see diverging actually from small-scale and micro-scale farming down into commercial agriculture. And that is the reason why we have invited, some of these major agri-producers, like the Dangote Group, the Olam Group, and recently we have finished signing an agreement with the Azman Group. Now, with all these big organizations, we are approaching agriculture from the commercial end of it. That is one, and we are also looking at the agro scheme that will come from it. And also, we have a lot of other small local farmers, like the distinguished Senator Abdullahi Sule, who is the chairman of the House of the Senate Committee on Agriculture, who has always held a program on agriculture in the state. And he is also expanding, just like so many other commercial farmers are going in that direction. So we're looking at creating employment, creating economic activities, in agriculture and the rest of that. And from our own end, we just signed an agreement with the Lower Benue Development Authority, to take out certain areas of land. For instance, around the Doma Dam, we have just signed an agreement where we took about 570 hectares, and that amount is going to be split into 1 hectare each, and we will engage most of the youth and other small-scale farmers, who will be funded through NISAL, the CBN project. That way, they are also going to be engaged in that. So we are promoting more of commercial agriculture, but we are not also forgetting the small-scale farmers, and we're trying to find ways to support them. We recently entered into a program, for tractor leasing, which Keystone Bank is also funding. So with that type of program now, we are going to bring in maybe roughly about 100 tractors that we are going to lease to our own small-scale farmers. And this is in addition to selling the fertilizer at subsidized rates. We are buying fertilizer anywhere between 5,500 to 6,000 naira, and we are selling them as subsidized to our farmers, roughly around 3,500 to 4,000 naira. So all these are the areas that we continue to support so that we can boost agriculture and support the food security program of the federal government.
All right. Thank you, sir. I want to ask you a question. I think your answer will be helpful to a lot of people also who face these challenges. What are you doing to sensitize people at rural levels, the communities, to build an awareness of COVID-19 virus? Has there been a strategy around campaigning through your primary healthcare centers, the community leaders? Will you also agree that these communities are the most vulnerable and most at risk? should there be a widespread, God forbid, infection in these areas. So what are you doing about the rural areas that might not, listening to all of this?
Okay, most of the rural areas we are carrying out our awareness program through two major sources. Apart from the media that we continue to carry every day, a lot of our people listen to the radio a lot in the rural areas. A few places, because of challenges of power, from time to time look at also television. But a lot of our own people are looking into social media. So we have carried our campaign and awareness also into social media. But more importantly, we have now carried our campaigns into the primary healthcare units where we have. So we are ensuring that at the primary healthcare, most of the time these people go to hospitals. They call them hospitals actually because they are just small clinics around the neighborhoods. So once they go there, they are usually given education and proper awareness, in that area so that they can be more equipped and well informed about that. Also, we try as much as possible to provide some of the PPEs through these sources. That way the people understand the need to continue to use these PPEs, and that is especially the face masks, hand gloves, and things like that. And of course, we are always making trying to make provision in most of these primary healthcare units, because Nasarawa State is one of the areas that we have taken the primary healthcare under our seriously, and we are one of the states invited to Seattle, Washington, recently, in order to go and coordinate the importance of the primary healthcare online.
All right, there's an interesting question I want to ask you here, because it's very peculiar to your state. In the recently published report by the Nasarawa State government, Mapping Study Pathways for Reliance and Growth, a report on Nasarawa's COVID response, your government highlights detail of the state's planned economic response to this pandemic. Indeed, it has been said that the greater impact of this pandemic will be negative economic effects, which will be felt long after this virus fades away. It seems that your government is taking a proactive step in this regard. Could you kindly share with us your state's objective in putting together this response plan, and what are your key action points?
Well, you can look at it actually two ways, positive and negative, but that's why we concentrated on doing that. And in fact, the northern governors recently formed a committee to look at that particular package, and we shared it with the northern governors forum, because they invited us, and about five northern governors are members of that committee to look at post-COVID-19 impact on the economy, as far as we are concerned. So the package that you are talking about, which we prepared, that's why we shared with the northern governors. And that's what the northern governors are using in order for us to meet. Just yesterday, we had almost 2 hours meeting on the same issues. So the whole package is targeting at, the impact generally. We are trying to look at most of our assets, that we have let low, and now we are trying to utilize them. For instance, we have 4 fertilizer plants that were installed, and none of them was being used. Today, we are reviving them and making sure that each one of them is being used, to reduce the cost. Because as you know, in Nigeria, one of the biggest problems is not about small-scale industry, but the cost of running that small-scale industry, the absence of regular power supply, people have to use diesel and the rest of that. And so we approach it from that angle. The second part is on the power that I just mentioned to you. We know we have a substation, 330 kV line that is coming all the way from the Niger Delta, going towards the north. So we are having a substation, in Lafia, and from that substation we have 6 lines that are going 2 into Lafia, Asakio, Akwanga, and then Toma. So all these lines are going to go into in order to boost electricity supply. We are also promoting a lot on the area of water supply because of irrigation. That's why we are looking more into that. So these are all the steps and the targets that we are doing, because you see, the COVID-19 being an agri-based state, the COVID-19 post economic impact when it comes to Nasarawa State, it may be positive, it may also be negative, but we are trying to look at all the mitigations to ensure that it becomes a positive, and that's why we took those steps. and those steps are being looked into by most of the northern governors at the moment.
Thank you. All right. Final question I want to ask you, because it concerns the entire nation and your state is important here. The combination of the COVID-19 pandemic and the land border closure still in place has escalated the challenge of food security in Nigeria. What is your own government doing to mitigate the risk of food security within your state and in the country at large?
Well, from what you can see, that step has taken is in the right direction, because apart from the international border alliance that had been shut down, within has helped in as much as the spread of the virus itself. But as far as the food security is concerned, one, in Nasarawa State, we did not lock down farmers. So, in fact, we encourage farmers to go back to the farm, because we came to realize that the heat that comes from the sun, helps in mitigating the spread of this virus. So, therefore, we encourage most of our farmers, to continue their farming activities. Secondly, by taking the decision about this commercial farming that I have listed earlier on, you can see that we are trying to arrest the issue of this food security when it comes to the state. Three, we are promoting the outgrower schemes, which I have mentioned to you again earlier, from most of these big players. For instance, Azuman is going to do rice on 14,000 hectares of land. By our own policy, 30% of that should go to the outgrowers, while it is 70% of that should go to the company, to the parent company. In addition to that, we are looking at so many other small farmers, and we are making them now to be feeding the off-taker. In this case, the big players will become the off-takers. So those are the kinds of things that we are going to ensure food security is there. And as I said, today, in most of these other places, nobody is talking about foreign rice anymore. People are just buying local rice. And if you want to order rice from, say, Olam, that is operating on about 5,000 hectares of land today, and we are encouraging them to expand to 10,000 hectares. If you want to do that, today you have to wait, 2, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days before you can even get your order delivered. So you can see for us, really, the closures have turned out to be a plus, not only for the nation, but for our state. Thank you.
Once again, sir, I want to say thank you very much for honoring our invitation, accepting to do this, taking time out of your very busy schedule. Thank you very much, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
The Platform Nigeria celebrates all medical and frontline workers in the battle against this epidemic. Some have given their lives to keep us safe. Nigeria and the world will forever be grateful to you all.